Alright, so version 2 just came in the mail today. It's significantly different than version 1, as you can see. Mainly, almost all the modifications I made were to cut down on material usage, which I'll go over in a minute. But also, I was trying to increase strength in a few areas and create tolerances for the crude nature of PLA fabrication. But before I go over the version 2.0, I'd like to go over version 1.0 because there's something really crucial to note here. Probably see these little pieces here are actually not supposed to be detached from the parts, so it broke, and that was after 2 days of usage. And the reason it broke, I believe, is because of the infill technique, which when I first had these parts 3D printed, I didn't know that Shapeways PLA fabrication used such extreme infilling. I mean, you can see right here pretty clearly that it's the absolute minimal amount of infill to maintain structural form without compromising the design completely. And unfortunately, what they didn't realize is that in attempting to save themselves a lot of filament, they were going to basically totally compromise the structural integrity of the design. And that's basically what happened. If these were solid PLA, they wouldn't have broken, but because they used like the max infill, three of them snapped off. And this is kind of interesting. This one broke in 2 places. I couldn't even find the other part, and that was after 2 days of usage. So something to keep in mind if you order PLA from Shapeways is that chances are you're going to get this aggressive infilling, in which case your parts will not have much structural strength. And now here's the second sort of critique I have for Shapeways, and I feel a little bit bad about this because it's not like they explicitly said anywhere that the PLA printing was going to be like top quality or anything, but at the same time, it's like it kind of would be nice if they told you that it was going to be, you know, less than premium quality. So this, as you can see, the print quality itself, even though they use the infill, is quite high. So they use like a high quality printing setting, but a high infill as well, so kind of a trade-off there. Now in version 2.0, I significantly scale back the amount of material required to print the object, and so like I created all these cavities in here pretty much everywhere. I mean, everywhere there was a solid part, I removed material so that I could reduce the weight and hopefully reduce the price as well for me. And the side effect of that, of course, is that it prevented Shapeways from using their aggressive infilling because there was no longer any significant open spaces or solid areas in the design. So basically what I did was I did a manual infill, only it's on infill because it goes all the way from the outside to the inside of the structure. But because of that, at least this is my theory, they decided to print the model using a lower quality setting, and this is kind of hard to see probably through the video, but like there is just a ton of flaws. The surface quality was like a lot sloppier in general, and even though I had a 0.5 millimeter tolerance, there was so much like filament residue on top of the surfaces that I had to scrape it off with an X-Acto knife just to get it to slide in there, even with a 0.5 millimeter tolerance change, which, as it turns out, was a good amount. It was actually just the right amount for the pieces to slide right in together. And so, okay, the tolerance change that I made was a success. That, like, totally just right. 0.5 millimeter, and it was perfect. The problem was that, like I said, they used a much lower quality print setting. I think with like MakerBot, I don't know what kind of printers they're using, something similar, but there's usually like 3 quality settings, you know, just like on a 2D printer. Like here, this is a great example. Like if you look on the bottom of this, like this surface, you can see, like, yeah, there's a little bit of sort of like roughness and inconsistency there in the way the filament is laid down. Then if you look at this, for example, it's like dramatically more. I mean, it's like significant artifacts and PLA like residue. Anyway, a much faster printing setting was used on this, you know, like economy grade. So that caused me some serious problems, and I would hope that Shapeways would, in the future, for the PLA specifically, give people the option of maybe paying a little extra more to select a higher quality print setting, because I think that would be really useful for people like me who are prototyping stuff, that they also kind of want to prototype to specifically for PLA, so that it's actually a practical design, which was kind of impossible because of the lower print quality. Another problem there was that I had a millimeter space, like cavity in the underneath this lip for the washer spurs, and that was basically more or less filled in with PLA messiness, and I had to scrape that out with a X-Acto knife, which was an incredibly tedious and unpleasant process that I did not have to do at all in this one, mainly because, like I said, the higher print quality. Anyway, so something to definitely consider. You may get your part from Shapeways, your PLA part, as a kind of like rush job like this was, and the quality may be pretty low. So anyway, in terms of how does the version 2.0 actually work compared to version 1, well, I took it to the garden today, as you can see with the hose remnant on here, and I tried it out, and okay, I did make one critical mistake in my redesign. I changed the spacing here so that the washer would stick out an entire millimeter instead of a 0.5 millimeter like it was before, and that was way too much. It just did not work. So in other words, there was too much compression, and I couldn't I had to shave some of the washer off. This is like total butchery, but the bottom line is that it actually worked, and 75 psi, and it was just no leakage whatsoever. I'm gonna install it in the garden, have it just be there for a little while until it inevitably breaks too. I'm sure it will, because the PLA is strong and it's durable, but for the brutality of the industrial setting that I work in, I just I can't imagine this lasting for too long without significant more like support built in, and also probably a higher quality printing. I'm imagining there's probably still a lot of infill in here that I don't know about, so I will find out when this breaks, and I'll hacksaw it apart and see what's going on inside. That's my next little mini project. I'm going to actually hacksaw this one apart and see to what extent the infill is sort of compromising the internal structure. But yeah, so making progress. Got to admit, I'm disappointed and very frustrated by the things that were already previously covered, but I feel like I'm definitely getting closer. Maybe version 3 or 4 will be like ready for prime time. So yeah, that was a incredibly long progress update on this. I hope you found it intriguing and informative at the very least. So yeah, thanks for watching.